Welcome to the Resto Shaman PvP guide for Wrath of the Lich King. My name is Anthony, and in this video I'll be going over everything you'll need to have a successful arena season in Wrath Classic. Okay, for races on Horde there's 3 options. On Alliance there's just one. Starting with Orc, you have reduced stun duration by 15%, which is very good. Shamans are pretty squishy, especially when they're stunned. And they also have Blood Fury, which you won't be using that much. It's mostly just a little extra spell damage on Flame Shock or Lava Burst. It's decent when you're going for a kill, but that's about it. For Tauren, we have base health increased by 5%, which is okay. War Stomp stuns 5 enemies within 8 yards for 2 seconds, which is very good. And Nature Resistance, which reduces the chance you'll be hit by nature spells by 2%. So the health is okay, not a very big difference there. War Stomp, AoE stun, lasts for 2 seconds, which is great if you want to stun into a Hex, stun into a heal, or even just stun Earthbind and run away. Very good offensively or defensively. It's also excellent into double DPS. Nature Resist, the nature spells that you're going to be resisting with this are Cyclone, Roots, and Hex. Those are the main ones. So it's actually pretty decent, especially as Shamans get stronger throughout the expansion. You'll notice more of them. That'll be good for when you can't stop a Hex with or a clone with a grounding or a shear. For Troll, Berserking increased attack and casting speed by 20%, which is very good. Devoodoo Shuffle reduces the duration of movement impairing effects by 15%. It's okay. And then health regeneration increased by 10%, and 10% of total health regeneration may continue during combat. Not that great. I guess it's okay in longer games. So out of these 3 for Horde, really they all have their benefits. Stun duration reduced, excellent for Orc. War Stomp is the main one for Tauren, and Berserking for Troll. So really, if you already have a Shaman, I would say it's all personal preference, and you could probably just stay the race that you are. For Alliance, Draenei is your only option. They give you and your party members 1% hit within 30 yards. So it's very good. It allows you, instead of having to wear the hit neck and the hit cloak, you can swap one of those out for a mana regen, which is really good. Shadow Resistance reduces the chance you'll be hit by shadow spells by 2%. What's great about that is you'll be able to resist fears from priests. And you do have Tremor Totem, but the good priests are going to be able to kill that. So excellent to have that against priests. And then Gift of the Naru, it's not a great heal. It's a heal over time. It heals every 3 seconds over 15 seconds. So it ticks 5 times, 3-minute cooldown. It's good to have when you have a lot of incoming damage, but it's not a good burst heal. So, but it's okay. Overall, any one of these 4 options is going to be a solid option for Shaman. These 3, the Troll, the Draenei, and the Tauren, can all do the jump on the Dalaran Sewers arena map. That may be fixed at some point in the future. Right now we're in between Season 6 and Season 7. Because of that though, I would definitely choose one of those 3. If you're Alliance, obviously Draenei. Tauren or Troll, both good options. Orc, if they did change the Dalaran Sewers jump and removed it, Orc might be the best one. The stun reduction is very good. Okay, for talents, starting with the Restoration Tree, you don't really ever get improved Healing Wave. So 5 out of 5 in Totemic Focus. Reduce the mana cost of your totems, you're constantly putting them down, so it's pretty effective. Healing Grace, definitely 3 out of 3. Reduces the chance your helpful spells and damage over time effects will be dispelled by 30%, which is basically a must-have. And then Improved Reincarnation doesn't work in Arena. So the other two, Tidal Focus, reduce mana cost by 2% of your healing spells. Next I get everything in this line here. The 3 out of 3 improved Water Shield is great for mana regen. When you basically, whenever you crit with a Riptide or a Lesser Heal, basically the only heals you're using, you get mana back from your Water Shield. Healing Focus, reduce the pushback from damaging attacks by 70%, and Earth Shield gives another 30%. So 100% 100% reduce pushback with Earth Shield and 70% without is very good. Definitely need those. 1 out of 1 Tidal Force. It's basically macroed with your Nature Swiftness heal. So you'll do a Nature Swiftness healing wave and it'll crit pretty much every time, but not every time. Ancestral Healing. I go 3 out of 3 into this. You don't have to. You can go 1 out of 3 and put in the other points into crit or maybe even toughness, but I go 3 out of 3. I think it's worth it. A lot of warriors out there and DKs and rogues. Restorative Totems, 3 out of 3. There's not really, it just increases your mana and healing totems effect. You don't really put points in this. Increase the crit chance of your healing and lightning spells by 1%. Instead, you put your crit talents here. Increase your chance to get a crit with all spells and attacks. So we skip that one. Nature Swiftness, need that. 3 out of 3 Focus Mind. Reduce the duration of any silence or interrupt by 30%. So that's a must-have. Healing Way you don't get because you don't play Healing Wave. It's just too slow. It heals for a ton if you spec into it, but it's too slow. It's not as reliable. You end up just overhealing basically. Purification, you need 5 out of 5 to unlock Cleanse Spirit, plus 10% healing is great. Cleanse Spirit, basically you can remove a curse in addition to the poison and disease, which is a must-have for Hex and Warlock curses. Mana Tide. Nature's Guardian, I like to go 3 out of 5. I feel like that's a good amount. 5 out of 5, it's just, there's other talents that are more worth finishing out the 5 out of 5, but I feel like you do need some in here for survivability. Improved chain healing, you never get. Increase the crit chance of your spells by 4%, which is great. A lot of your mana regen comes from critting your heals, as well as giving the ancestral healing buff. It also applies Earth Living. I think it's, I want to say it's 100% chance when they're below 35%. I think it's 20% whenever you heal to proc Earth Living, so an extra 80%. Puts that at 100. Nature's Blessing increases your healing by amount equal to 15% of your intellect. Here you'll be putting points in intellect, and that just gets better with each season, so that's very good. Earth Shield, improved Earth Shield. Basically, a huge healing that you're going to be doing is going to come from Earth Shield, and you'll also be getting glyphs for it as well. Ancestral Awakening, when you critically heal, you heal for 30% of the amount healed on the lowest target, which is very good. It definitely adds up over time, and it helps you out when you're under a lot of pressure. Tidal Waves, 5 out of 5. Tidal Waves does a lot of stuff. It reduces the cast time of your Healing Wave spell by 30%, which you don't really benefit from because you don't use that. But it increases the crit chance of your Lesser Healing Wave by 25%. So that'll actually be critting very often when you have Tidal Waves, which will be proccing Ancestral Healing. It'll be proccing Ancestral Awakening, and it'll be proccing the improved Water Shield mana regen, so definitely need 5 out of 5 in that. In addition, your healing wave gains an additional 20% of your bonus healing effects, and your lesser healing wave gains an additional 10% of bonus healing. So very good. Riptide, your only heal over time basically, besides healing stream totem, and also procs tidal waves. Going over into this enhancement tree, reduces the cooldown of your Stoneclaw and Earthbind by 30%. That's really the main. It does increase the radius of Earthbind by 20% as well, but reduce the cooldown of Stoneclaw, the main point of this talent. You'll be getting the Stoneclaw Glyph, which will give you a shield every time you cast Stoneclaw Totem. Ancestral Knowledge, put the other 3 points into that, increase intellect by 6%, which increases your healing. The Strength of Earth and Flame Tongue buff, not really worth it. And this tree here, Guardian Totems, reduces the cooldown of grounding by 2 seconds. That's the main benefit of that one, which is very good. Reduce Ghost Wolf cast time by 2 seconds, making it instant. I go 3 out of 3 in this as well. Increase the mana gain from Water Shield Orbs by 15%, and the healing done by Earth Shield Orbs by 15%. Another buff to the Earth Shield healing. 1 point in Shamanistic Focus. Reduce mana cost of shock spells by 45%, which is a ton. And then there's only 4 points remaining, and I just put them all in the crit, which again, you want crit for all these benefits there. For glyphs, the major glyphs you'll be getting are Earth Shield, increases the amount healed by your Earth Shield by 20%. So many buffs for Earth Shield between your talents and that glyph. Let's see here. Stoneclaw Totem, that's a must-have. Your Stoneclaw Totem also places a damage absorb shield on you, equal to 4 times the strength of the shield it places on your totems, which I think it comes to about 4,000 shield, which is excellent. You can also use it while you're silenced, so very good. And then the last glyph is Lesser Healing Wave. There's really not any other contention for a glyph space here. Those 3 are the best. Your Lesser Healing Wave heals for 20% more if the target's also affected by Earth Shield. You're pretty much just spamming Lesser Healing Wave and Riptide on the target that has Earth Shield, so it all just works together. Minor glyphs, nothing too special. The main one you need is Water Shield. Increases the number of charges on Water Shields by 1%. The rest, you could run Ghost Wolf, which regenerates 1% of your max health every 5 seconds while you're in Ghost Wolf. It's not very much. It doesn't really matter. You could just go for these, which no longer require a reagent to cast. It's good for trash debuffs. Okay, for macros, you don't need too many, but there are a few that you definitely need. Focus Hex is one of them. It's definitely good to confuse the opponent. They don't know who you're casting Hex on. It's great to fake a Spell Reflect from a warrior, for instance. It's just very good to basically not have your opponent know who it's going on. Next is a Nature Swiftness heal. I always use Tidal Force in my Nature Swiftness heal macro. It gives an extra 60% chance to crit. And when you're casting Nature Swiftness, you really want as much healing as you can get. So that crit is definitely a must. So that's why I put that in the macro. Next is a Focus Wind Shear macro. That one plus my target Wind Shear macro both have stop casting in it. You basically need it. If you're casting a heal and you need to shock someone instantly, you just press this macro. You don't have to worry about moving to cancel your cast or whatever. So you need a Focus Wind Shear and a target Wind Shear. And really, those are the main macros that you need. Focus Hex, Nature Swiftness Tidal Force Healing Wave, a Focus Shear, stop casting, and a target stop casting Wind Shear. Gearing a Resto Shaman is pretty simple. you need to get 4% hit and 75 spell pen. As a Draenei, you only need 3% hit because you get 1% from Heroic Presence. To get the hit, get a hit ring and a hit neck or cloak. If you're Horde, you need to get both the hit neck and the hit cloak. As a Draenei, because of the 1%, you can afford to get a mana regen piece. To get the spell pen, 35 spell pen to cloak enchant, and 2 spell pen gems will put you right at 75. The rest of the gearing is pretty simple. It's all PvP gear, except for the trinket. I went for a PvP piece for mana regen. I like to go the 3-piece Resto and the 2-piece Ellie for the double 2-piece set bonus, which is 100 resilience. The extra 100 resilience I feel like you need pretty bad, especially in the early seasons. You want as much resil as you can get, really, at least until you get to around 1400, which will happen Season 7 and Season 8. For enchants, the Helm enchant from Wintergrass and the Shoulder enchant from Wintergrass, spell power and resil. Cloak enchant, spell pen. Chest, 20 resil. Bracers, 30 spell power. I go the glove rocket for the gloves. Belt buckle, earth and leg armor, 40 resil and 28 stam to legs. Tuskar's vitality, the stam and minor speed increase. 63 spell power to weapon. Shield, you can go 12 resil or 25 intellect. I prefer going intellect just because 12 resil isn't that much. And intellect is still quite good for shamans. Gives crit, mana, and healing. For gems, I always go the Insightful Earth Siege Diamond. Just seems like the most useful. You get a lot of mana regen back with that, and more intellect. Red gems, Durable Monarch Topaz, Spell Power Resil. Yellow gems, I get the 20 Resilience gem from Wintergrass, and besides that, the rest are 16 resil. For blue gems, you need 2 Stormy Sky Sapphires to put you at 75 spell pen. And the other blue gems after that should be the Opaque Forest Emeralds, the 8 resil and 4 mana for 5. I'll have my Season 7 BiS list in the description below as well. And it'll basically be the same thing as Season 6 here. The trinket will be upgraded to a Trial of the Crusader trinket. I think it is Solus. Yep, Solus of the Defeated. It's very similar to Show of Faith, just slightly better. More mana regen, bit more spell power. For professions, I go engineering and herbalism. Engineering's definitely a must for the glove rocket. 1650 to 2000 extra damage, only a 45-second cooldown. It's very good burst throughout the whole expansion. Herbalism, you get Lifeblood, which heals you for 3600 over 5 seconds, and that's increased by your maximum health, so it gets better as you get more gear throughout the expansion. It's not a very popular talent to go, or profession to go, but I find it very good, especially against double DPS. You can use it while you're silenced. It's been a lifesaver. There have been several arena matches that I've survived just from Lifeblood. So I think it's better than jewel crafting. I mean, being able to heal, it's such a quick heal. It's almost like a mini nature swiftness and can be used while silenced. So definitely recommend engineering and herbalism for professions. All right, and I wanted to talk about totem presets as well, just totems in general. So we have 3 presets we can use. Sometimes it's not enough, but it is what it is. My first preset, I play with the melee pretty much exclusively, so I always have Wind Fury. But if you're playing with the caster, Wrath of Air. For your water trinket, for this one, I Mana Spring. Flame Tongue Totem is in all of them, so it's the Fire Totem. And then Tremor. So that's my first preset. Pretty much, I like to use that against warrior teams. Tremor's always good to have until they use their fear, and then I'll just swap it over to Strength of Earth usually. And yeah, it's pretty standard preset to use. My second one is exactly the same, but with Cleansing Totem instead of the mana. So this one I use against Priest Rogue. I think Priest Rogue, Priest DK as well. Yeah, it's just solid. It's got the Tremor for Fear. It's got the Cleansing Totem, which I use against Rogues and DKs. And then the pretty standard Flame Tongue and Wind Fury. The last preset, I drop Tremor for Strength of Earth, and then I go for Healing Stream. This is kind of like if you're facing a double DPS and you just want your partner to do as much damage as they can, and the other team doesn't have a fear. You want to just put this down. Your partner's going to do a ton of damage, and there's a healing stream, which is actually very, very useful and very effective against double DPS. You can see here it's ticking for 401. And if you're playing with the caster, probably just change this one to Wrath of Air. And I'd imagine Stone Skin most of the time. Yeah, that's about it for totems. Okay, so I brought this game up to show how my add-ons and Weakauras work. Starting with ability team tracker here, you can see that I've got a lot of cooldowns on my warrior here. And I can easily just see when a cooldown is active, when it's on cooldown, when it's available. And you can customize that to add or take away things if you find something is more important or not needed to be put here. Big debuffs is another add-on. It shows important buffs and debuffs above the enemy nameplates. Here I can see the Pally is Forbearance, the Warrior is Shield Wall up for another second. Let's see, we have Omnibar down here. Omnibar shows enemy cooldowns, and you can customize this to add cooldowns or take away cooldowns. I like to have the most important ones here. So I know the Pally can't bubble. I know he doesn't have Bop, Podge, Wings. Warrior doesn't have Fear. Over here is Gladdy. Shows enemy trinkets, the racials. It also shows their cooldowns on the side. Cast bar here. And it shows the buffs that they have. My Weakauras that I use, I have enemy nameplate GCD, and to the right of the enemy nameplate so you can see what globals they're using. Right here, the warrior used Fear, so I could see that there. It only lasts for a second, but it's pretty useful to have. And killing blow, I get a crosshair here when they're below 20%, and it makes a sound when I get a kill. There's a lot of different comps that you can play as a Resto Shaman. I'll mostly talk about 2s, because I don't do as much 3s or 5s, but I think Resto Shamans are very strong in 2s, actually, and there's a bunch of different comps that work with them. For instance, here, we're playing Shaman Assassination Rogue, and it actually does very well into a lot of these comps. I think Shadow Priest Rogue is actually one of our harder matchups. But really, it seemed as if this comp could beat pretty much any comp we faced, as long as we played well. Another comp that works for Resto Shaman is Resto Shaman Warrior. I think this is one of the more fun comps to play. It's definitely frustrating sometimes against certain comps like Double Rogue or Rogue Feral, but as you can see, we can put out a ton of pressure onto certain teams. As long as we time our interrupts right here, we're able to get kills pretty easily on certain classes. Another comp that works is Resto Shaman Feral Druid. It's a pretty strong comp. It actually does really well into Preg DK, and it's one of the easier comps into Priest Feral as well. We can just be very offensive. Another comp that is very good is Resto Shaman Prot Pally. It also works as Resto Shaman Ret Pally, but Prot is just a little safer, a little easier, I think. A little longer games though. You do very well into Warrior Pally and a lot of other popular comps like Shadow Priest Rogue. Right here we're facing a Discipline Priest Rogue, so it's a bit harder of a comp, but you can beat any comp. Here's another Resto Shaman Rogue game. It's pretty fun playing different comps as a Resto Shaman. I haven't tried Resto Shaman Destrolock, but I do think that might be the best Resto Shaman comp in twos. I've seen a few of them very high on the ladder, and I feel like it'd be a pretty fun comp to play. In this game, I'm going to show you the wall jump right here. You jump up halfway, you land midway through the wall, and then you just jump up the rest of the way. It's really good. You get to put your totems down here, and then you can jump up whenever you need. It is harder to do when you're slowed though, so using Ghost Wolf makes it a little easier. Over here, the priest has to come all the way down here to kill Tremor. He's actually a little slow on killing it, breaks the fear. Here I jump up. Rogue can shadow step up. Other classes can get up, other races as well. Not everyone, like humans can't, for example. But being able to jump down, jump back up is very useful, especially against warriors, since most of them are human. They can't do it. But as the game goes on, they kite away from the area where you're able to do that jump. It's only on this half of the map that you can do it. When you go over here to these boxes, you're not able to jump up anymore. It's the one with the two crates on top. Is the one that you can't do it. On the bottom left of the map. The top right of the map is the one that you can. Anyway, we'll let this game play out. See if I use Lifeblood already. Glyphs is coming back up. Just getting used to my professions. Glove Rocket through Cloak for the kill. Alright, I wanted to explain some gameplay about things that I'm looking at and trying to accomplish throughout the game. Right here we're playing Resto Shaman Prot Pally into Disc Priest Death Knight, which is a pretty hard comp for us. They're going to try and mana burn us throughout the game, and I'm trying to survive and keep Water Shield on myself as much as I can. I use Lifeblood there to help with some pressure. Just anything to help me keep Water Shield going on myself. I get Freedom here. I'm trying to run from the Death Knight. I know I'll be able to get away, so I Earth Shield and Riptide my Paladin. And then I get away, I'm able to heal myself. And he's keeping his pet kind of near me so that I can't drink. But if it does hit me, it procs Water Shield, so going for drinks is still pretty important. Over here I go for a drink. The pet looks like it's going to hit me, but it doesn't, so I actually get a bit of mana there. Priest has to MD, which costs him a lot of mana. Over here I get a nice grounding on the grip. He had Gargoyle up, and I figured he'd use it as an interrupt. I resist the fear there, which is huge. Being a Draenei, you get 2% resist. Paladin calls out, he has a full Hodge. Maybe we can get a kill, so I throw a Glove Rocket and a Shock. And we do get the kill there. Here's another game where the team goes me, Enhanced Shaman Preg Pally. It's on sewers, and over here I'm able to do the jump. Actually, all of us can do the jump when Bloodlust is used. And there it is. I use Lifeblood there, Bloodlust, and I'm able to actually heal through this without using my Nature Swiftness. Still Dispel Hex on my Pally there. Jump back down. And we're pretty much just trying to put out as much damage as we can while I'm trying to live. Since all four of us can jump up, it's not that much of a benefit for me, except that the wolves can't jump up, so they have to go all the way around. It saves a little bit of pressure for me. Now that I'm up and their bloodlust is gone, I'm no longer a target. So all I have to worry about is keeping Earth Shield, Riptide, and heals on my Paladin. I get a full Hex off over there, just chasing the Shaman down. I try and get some purges on his buffs so he can't get any instant cast heals. And we're able to just dwindle him down. Alright, well that wraps up the video. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe. I'm going to be putting out a lot more content during the next arena season. Share the video with anyone you think might benefit from it, anyone who's looking to play a Shaman. I also stream on Twitch, and the link to that will be in the description, as well as the links to all the add-ons and Weakauras I use, as well as Season 7 BiS List. If you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to answer them. Just leave them in the comments section in the video. And if you have any video requests or anything at all, just leave a comment and I'll answer it. Thank you for watching.